The sun was soft, casting its golden light upon the forest near Vulture Peak. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming jasmine, mingling with the earthy aroma of wet soil. He sat under the great banyan tree, his posture still as the morning air. His eyes met mine, radiating compassion and understanding. Before long, the Buddha arrived, his gait deliberate yet light, as though he floated rather than walked. He carried no staff, no sandals, only the serene glow of his presence. Around us, monks gathered, their ochre robes blending with the forest's autumn hues. The Buddha settled beneath a sprawling banyan tree, its roots like arms cradling the earth. He sat cross-legged, his form as still as a mountain. Silence enveloped us, profound yet not oppressive, a space that held the whispers of truth. Breaking the silence, the Buddha spoke, his voice flowing like a river. "Today, I will tell you of a farmer," he began, the gentleness of his tone drawing us closer. His gaze, unwavering and compassionate, seemed to pierce through the veils of illusion. "There was a farmer, living in a small village nestled between hills," he said, tracing the story like a painter his brush. "This farmer had a field, vast yet unyielding, a land that bore only weeds year after year." The monks exchanged glances, their expressions a blend of curiosity and anticipation. I felt my heartbeat slow, drawn into the rhythm of his words. "The farmer," the Buddha continued, "was mocked by neighbors who saw his barren field as a testament to failure." He paused, his silence a chisel shaping the story's depth. Yet the farmer held no anger, no resentment, only a quiet determination. A bird landed on a nearby branch, its wings creating a soft rustle. The Buddha's eyes followed its flight before he resumed. "One day, as he tilled the hard soil, the farmer found a single seed, small and seemingly lifeless. His voice held a trace of wonder, a mirror of the farmer's discovery. He held it in his palm, a universe wrapped within a shell, fragile yet brimming with potential." The monks leaned forward, their attention unwavering. I felt my own curiosity ignite, imagining the seed as the universe itself. "The farmer," the Buddha said, "decided not to plant this seed immediately. Instead, he nurtured it with infinite patience." His words unfolded like a lotus blooming, each petal revealing a deeper layer of meaning. He placed the seed in a clay pot, watered it daily, and gave it the warmth of the sun. The Buddha's eyes seemed to hold the sun's radiance, a warmth that dissolved all shadows. "Months passed," the Buddha said, his voice tinged with the passage of time. Others mocked his devotion, seeing it as an act of futility. He paused again, his silence carrying the weight of the farmer's resolve. Yet he remained silent, unmoved, his courage quiet as the wind that shapes mountains. My breath slowed, as though matching the deliberate pace of the Buddha's tale. The forest too seemed to listen, its leaves whispering in agreement. "One day," the Buddha said, "when hope appeared to wane, the seed cracked open, giving birth to a sapling." His words carried a sense of triumph, not loud but profound, like the first light of dawn. This sapling grew into a tree, its roots breaking through rock, its branches bearing fruit even in a desert. The monks gasped softly, their awe echoing mine. The Buddha's expression remained calm, the story's climax not a peak but a plateau of understanding. "The strength of the seed," the Buddha said, his gaze sweeping across us, "was not in its resistance but in its silent patience." He leaned forward slightly, his eyes meeting mine. "Courage," he said, his voice soft yet firm, "is not loud. It is the quiet persistence of staying rooted in the face of doubt." I felt the words sink into my being, like seeds finding fertile soil within my heart. Around us, the monks were silent, their minds turned inward, contemplating the story's essence. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as though offering the story to the universe itself. The moment stretched, timeless yet fleeting, a paradox held within the bounds of wisdom. The sun dipped lower. Its light filtered through the banyan tree's leaves, casting patterns on the ground. The Buddha opened his eyes, their depth reflecting the story's eternal truth. "Let us meditate," he said, his voice a whisper that carried the weight of eternity. The monks followed his lead, their breaths syncing with the forest's rhythm. As I closed my eyes, the story of the farmer and the seed replayed in my mind, each word a mantra. I felt the earth beneath me, solid yet yielding, a reminder of the seed's journey. The Buddha's words echoed within me, a resonance that transcended the boundaries of time and space. The courage of the seed, its silent bravery, became a mirror reflecting my own struggles and potential. When I opened my eyes, the Buddha was still, a mountain amidst the flowing river of life. Around us, the forest seemed transformed, its essence laid bare by the story's quiet power. The sun had set, yet a light remained, not external but internal, a beacon ignited by the Buddha's wisdom. The monks began to rise, their movements deliberate, as though the story's gravity had anchored them to the earth. I lingered, my heart full yet light, the story's seed planted within me, waiting to bloom. The Buddha looked at me once more, his gaze a silent affirmation of the journey ahead. We parted ways, the forest our witness, the story our guide, the Buddha our eternal teacher. Another day, the sun rose slowly, its rays piercing the mist that cloaked the serene lake near the forest. The Buddha sat by the water, his reflection shimmering on the surface as though the lake itself whispered his presence. Birds sang softly, their voices weaving a melody that blended with the sound of rippling water. A disciple approached, his steps hesitant, his face troubled by a storm of emotions he struggled to contain. "Master," he said, his voice trembling, "I am lost in desire and fear, trapped in a web I cannot escape." The Buddha turned to him, his gaze steady, his silence like an open door inviting the disciple to speak further. "I strive to rise above these feelings," the disciple continued, "but they pull me back, like roots anchoring me to suffering." The Buddha extended his hand toward the lake, where lotus flowers floated effortlessly above the mire beneath them. "Look at the lotus," he said, his voice calm as the breeze. "Its roots sink into mud, yet its bloom remains unstained." The disciple stared at the flowers, their beauty radiant despite their origins in the muck of the earth. "Master," he asked, "how can I rise above when the mire surrounds me, holding me down with its heaviness?" The Buddha picked a lotus stem from the water, holding it gently as though it were a fragile treasure. "The lotus does not reject the mud," he said, "nor does it cling to it. Instead, it grows through it." He placed the stem on the disciple's palm, its bloom a symbol of silent transformation, of beauty born from struggle. "You must embrace your roots," the Buddha said, "not as a curse but as the soil that nourishes growth." The disciple's hands trembled, the lotus a reflection of his own soul, seeking clarity amidst confusion. "But how do I grow, Master?" he asked, his voice a whisper of longing. The Buddha smiled faintly, the gesture carrying the wisdom of countless lifetimes. "Through quiet bravery," he said, "the courage to face your struggles without resistance or escape." His gaze drifted to the horizon, where the sky met the earth in an endless embrace of light and shadow. "Do not fight the mire," the Buddha continued, "but accept it, knowing that it is both your challenge and your strength." The disciple bowed deeply, the lotus now a guide, its bloom a promise of transformation within the turbulence of life. "Thank you, Master," he said, his words tinged with gratitude and hope. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, offering the moment to the universe as though it were a prayer without words. Around them, the forest seemed to nod in agreement, its ancient trees swaying gently in the breeze. As the sun climbed higher, its light danced on the water's surface, illuminating the lotus blossoms like stars amidst the dark. The disciple sat beside the Buddha, his heart lighter, his mind quieter, as though the mire no longer held him captive. The Buddha spoke again, his words soft yet resonant. The lotus does not grow in isolation, he said. Its bloom depends on the mud, the water, the sun. He gestured toward the lake, its surface shimmering with light and shadow, a mirror of existence itself. So too must you find harmony within your struggles, balancing acceptance with aspiration, patience with perseverance. The disciple nodded, his thoughts shifting like the ripples on the lake, each wave carrying a piece of newfound understanding. Master, he said, I will embrace my roots and bloom, even amidst the mire that surrounds me. The Buddha smiled again, his expression as calm and vast as the lake before them. Remember, he said, courage is silent, a strength that unfolds without noise or force. The disciple closed his eyes, his breath syncing with the rhythm of the universe. The lotus in his palm a silent teacher. Around them, the forest buzzed with life, its essence untouched yet deeply intertwined with the moment. The Buddha rose slowly, his movements deliberate yet fluid, as though he carried the weight of the world lightly. Let us walk, he said, his voice a gentle invitation to move forward, both literally and metaphorically. The disciple followed, his steps more confident, his mind clearer, as though the lotus had shown him a path within. They walked along the lake, the sun casting their shadows long, merging them with the earth. As they moved, the Buddha pointed to a flower growing at the lake's edge, its petals tinged with dew. Notice how it bends toward the light, he said, his voice a whisper that carried the weight of truth. He touched the flower delicately, his hand as gentle as a breeze, as though blessing it with his silent wisdom. Its courage lies not in defiance but in acceptance, in its willingness to grow despite the challenges of its roots. The disciple paused, his gaze fixed on the flower, its beauty a testament to the teachings he was beginning to understand. Master, he said, I see now that courage is not loud but quiet, a bravery that transforms rather than resists. The Buddha nodded, his silence an affirmation deeper than words, a connection that transcended the limits of language. They continued to walk, the forest embracing them, its shade a sanctuary from the heat of the day. As they reached the edge of the forest, the disciple turned to the Buddha, his heart filled with gratitude. Master, he said, I will remember your words, and I will strive to bloom like the lotus you have shown me. The Buddha placed a hand on the disciple's shoulder, a gesture of reassurance and encouragement. You will, he said, his voice carrying the certainty of truth, for the lotus always blooms, even amidst the mire. They parted ways, the disciple's steps lighter, his soul carrying the lotus's promise, its bloom a beacon of silent courage. The forest whispered behind them, its song a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. The sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, a canvas for the day's lessons. The lake shimmered, its surface reflecting the wisdom shared, a mirror of the courage within the lotus. As the disciple disappeared into the forest's embrace, the Buddha remained by the lake, his presence a testament to silent bravery. Around him, the world continued its rhythm, each moment a story, each story a seed waiting to bloom. Another day, the sun dipped below the mountains, its light spreading a golden warmth across the landscape near the monastery. The air carried the scent of sandalwood and incense, mingling with the sweet fragrance of newly blossomed flowers. I found myself sitting by the Buddha, his presence radiant yet humble, his silence speaking louder than words. A merchant arrived, his robes adorned with fine embroidery, his hands bearing gifts of gold, jewels, and ornate objects of luxury. Master, he said, his voice rich with pride, I bring these offerings tokens of my devotion and gratitude to you." The Buddha's gaze rested on the merchant, calm and compassionate, as though seeing not his wealth but the essence within. "Tell me, merchant," he asked, his voice soft, "what do you seek from these offerings? Is it recognition, or perhaps a sense of worth?" The merchant hesitated, his confidence wavering, his hands trembling slightly as though he held more than material gifts in their grasp. "I seek to use my wealth for good, Master," he said finally, his words tinged with uncertainty. The Buddha looked toward his simple begging bowl, its surface unadorned, reflecting the purity of its purpose. "What is the nature of a bowl?" he asked, his voice a gentle ripple in the still air. The merchant furrowed his brow, puzzled by the simplicity of the question. "A bowl holds," he replied, "water, food, anything placed within it." The Buddha smiled faintly, his expression carrying the wisdom of countless truths. "And what happens when the bowl is full, overflowing with more than it can contain?" he asked. "It spills," the merchant said, his voice quieter now, as though the answer carried a weight he had not anticipated. "Indeed," the Buddha said, his gaze unwavering, "a full bowl loses its essence, unable to serve its purpose without spilling over." He lifted his begging bowl, its emptiness a silent teacher, a vessel unencumbered by excess, free to hold the infinite. The power of a bowl lies not in its fullness but in its emptiness, in the space it creates. The merchant stared at the bowl, his opulent gifts seeming to lose their luster in the presence of its simplicity. "Master," he asked, "do you mean that wealth is a burden, that emptiness is preferable to abundance?" The Buddha placed the bowl gently on the ground, its presence as humble as the earth itself. "Wealth is not the burden," he said, "but the attachment to it, the fear of losing it, the craving for more." He gestured toward the sky, its vast expanse untouched by the boundaries of form or possession. "An empty sky holds the universe, infinite and boundless," he said. "So too can you, if you embrace emptiness without fear." The merchant lowered his gaze, his hands releasing the gifts as though they carried the weight of his attachments. "Master," he said, "I see now that my offerings were less about giving and more about what I sought in return." The Buddha nodded, his silence an acknowledgement deeper than words, a space where understanding could bloom without force. Around them, the monks watched, their expressions serene, their hearts absorbing the wisdom shared in simplicity. The sun sank lower, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, its light a canvas for the lesson unfolding. "Let us meditate," the Buddha said, his voice a whisper carried by the evening breeze. The merchant knelt beside the Buddha, his heart lighter, his mind quieter, his gifts now an offering not of wealth but of understanding. As he closed his eyes, the emptiness of the bowl became a mirror, reflecting the vastness within his soul. Around them, the forest buzzed with life, its essence undisturbed yet deeply intertwined with the moment's quiet transformation. The Buddha remained still, his presence a mountain amidst the flowing river of existence, his silence a sanctuary. When the merchant opened his eyes, the sun had set, leaving behind a sky adorned with stars, infinite in their radiance. "Master," he said, his voice soft, "I understand now that emptiness is not loss but the space to hold the universe." The Buddha smiled, his expression as calm as the night itself, his gaze carrying the depth of eternal truth. "Courage," he said, "is found in letting go, in the quiet act of making space for what truly matters." The merchant bowed deeply, his heart full yet empty, his soul carrying the lightness of freedom from attachment. Around them, the forest whispered, its song a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, of the universe held within. As the merchant departed, his steps deliberate yet light, the Buddha remained, his presence a testament to silent bravery. The monks began to rise, their movements slow, as though the lesson's gravity had anchored them to the earth. The stars twinkled above, their light a beacon of the truth shared, a reflection of the courage within emptiness. The forest embraced the night, its shadows merging with the light, a harmony born from the simplicity of existence. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, offering the moment to the universe as though it were a prayer without words. Around him, the world continued its rhythm, each breath a story, each story a seed waiting to bloom. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.